As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be
Oh
a
man,
home
it's
run.
8 o'clock.
And so that'll make it a...
I don't need the spotlight. I shine just fine.
Hi, I'm Karma, and yes, I am a bitch.
Brav Bros. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Brav Bros, your favorite podcast from the bros for everybody. For whoever wants to listen, I'm your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the one and only Scoots McGee. What's up, dude?
Packed week. I guess this is our reward for not having Bravo for the last couple of weeks. We just get an onslaught of shows. There is too much to cover. I'm okay with it. We can handle it before everybody starts getting crazy. We can handle it, all right?
Yeah, we're fine. It's fine. I'm fine. I have gotten a lot of sleep this week between having a 3-month-old and having 16 shows to cover this week. I am well rested. All right. So
yeah,
don't get it twisted, everybody.
Yeah, don't worry. We actually had an official sit down, which I imagine most people imagine we don't have official sit downs about what we're going to do. We actually did. We talked about our schedule. We talked about our schedule for about 10 minutes yesterday, and that's about as good as it gets. Usually it's just a text like, hey, you want to do this? Yeah, all right, that works.
The best part about that is I was so proud of us. I was talking to Dev last night and I was like, yeah, we actually we're like really getting things together. We got like a schedule where we know what we're doing every day instead of, oh, fuck, what are we covering tonight? Oh, yeah, right. So,
2.5 years in, finally have that talk.
2025 off to a good start. We're doing New Year's resolutions without knowing it, but I would be remiss not to shout out our members that are in this current live stream. We got a bunch of our members that are joining in. They're going to comment along as we go. So if you want to join the fun next time, make sure you sign up for Brav Bros members. It is $5 for the month, $50 for the year. You can click the link in our bio on Instagram or go to the bottom of this episode description and click there and join so you don't miss out on the live stream, because we're not going to answer your questions unless you're in here. You get exclusive rights to questions if you're in the live stream. So when we get to the end, all of you in the chat, please get your questions ready so we can answer your Q's with some A's. But we're here to talk. What?
I don't know. I didn't like that one.
You don't like answering Q's with A's? Come on. Don't be like that.
Also, if you are, or you could be in here, what you're missing is Steele about every 10 to 15 minutes goes, hey guys, guess what? I'm going to cut that. And that's the magic of editing. So he's going to let you know the things that we're going to cut, but you get the uncensored version, which is what we actually talked about before Steele did the intro. I want Peacock, or Peacock, as one of our members just said. I think it was Melissa. Shout out Melissa for saying Peacock.
But what does that mean?
Who cares? It's
like
funny to me.
Okay.
Yeah. Just Peacock, bro. Anyway, you're missing out. So join the members and just do it today, because you're missing out on all this good content, this uncensored content. We're not saying anything crazy or terrible. It's mostly just us stuttering or forgetting what happened.
Yep, pretty much. But we're here to talk RHOBH tonight, and we've had a 2-week hiatus from the show. Oh, 3 maybe? It's been a while.
I think it's 3. Yeah, I think because it lands on that Tuesday. We haven't had it since the Tuesday before Christmas Eve. So yeah, 3 weeks.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's been
Fucking
3 weeks
nuts.
without it. But we're only on episode 6, and I guess that's obviously because of the delay. So we got a lot more episodes to cover. But I will say, I like this season still. I like this episode. I am enjoying Dorit still. I like that she's still stepping up to the plate. I'm just curious where they're going to go from here, because at some point, and you can see Kyle's getting, fed up with it now, which if you're fed up with it, then stop being an asshole. But at some point, we, the viewer, are going to get tired of it. So I'm curious what the next step is. I don't know if Sutton, it appears to me that Sutton's going to take on the villain role if she hasn't already done so with this episode.
Yeah.
And I think that might be the focal point of this season, is her versus a lot of the women in the group, because she doesn't have a whole lot of friends right now. Like Tilly obviously is on her team, but even in her confessional, she's like, I see what they're saying. So she understands that Sutton's not performing super well right now. I mean, it's entertaining to watch, but leading off the season with sisterhood and then doing this kind of stuff is kind of a strange approach.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. And look, I mean, we're fans of Sutton on this show. We've spoken to her multiple times. She is really cool in real life, but we can separate that from the show. I can see now starting this episode, and obviously, there's been inklings in the past. There's a lot of people online that just flat out don't like Sutton. And I can see where they're coming from after this episode. Like, I understand why they don't like her. I still enjoy her. I still think that there's separate times where she is actually really good for the show. And I still think she can be good for the show in this role. She just has to get her shit together in the sense of not popping off immediately, as we see towards the end of this episode, just kind of understanding where people are coming from and then striking when it's appropriate. It seems like she just gets rattled very quickly and then goes off. And then you see that side of her, which I don't think it's fair to say, oh, that's the real Sutton. That's kind of where the narrative's going.
That's true.
It's not the real her. It's just that's where she gets to when she gets flustered. And I think she gets flustered a little too easily, whereas she could just kind of hang out in the back. Good pop by that fire.
I told you, this log's going crazy over here. So those of you at home that weren't here before we started this, I have my wood stove, and I put a log on there that was too big, and now it keeps popping way too loud. But no,
popping it up.
I agree. I think that the real Sutton, I don't think, is when she lashes out and stuff like that. I mean, I think that's part of the real Sutton because she continues to do it. I don't think she's a bad person, obviously. I think that she gets rattled so fast. Like, they get in her head, she immediately starts going off, and it goes from 0 to 100. But it's almost like she doesn't understand that just because you're saying, like, I'm there for you, like, your tone is awful. So yes, you're saying, I'll be there for you, but you let it off by being rude and saying a rude comment. You try to reel it in and settle things down with a strange tone. And you have to also understand, in the moment, once you set the stage here, you're going to escalate things already, and you're going to get the same in return. And Dorit, as we've seen this season, she's ready to go. Like, she's quick to fire back as well because she's fed up. She's had enough of being pushed around, which I really like. I like this Dorit. It's a callback to Dorit of old, and she does a good job. It's almost like when Dorit is in this mode. We've seen the Dorit the last few seasons when she starts talking, it's word salad, word salad, word salad. When she's this Dorit, she's fairly pointed. Like, she really doesn't waste words.
No, she's not really wasting words. However, we are talking about the scope of the show and where we think the rest of the season is going to go. It is Dorit. She is very long-winded. I could see this argument with Kyle going very long past where we're just done with it, because either Kyle's going to shut down, which is probably going to happen, and she's not going to talk about it. She's not going to engage with Dorit anymore, and Dorit still needs to get all of her thoughts out. I think that's kind of where we're heading. I think we're going to have Sutton on an isolation on her own island over there, just kind of defending herself when she doesn't even need to defend herself. That's kind of where she gets into a pickle. And I think the rest of the ladies are just going to have to fall in line. They're going to have to not really pick sides, but they're just going to have to figure out where they fit into the show. I mean, we're seeing a completely different Erika Jayne where, yeah, she's having conversations with Dorit about Sutton's real, where her real personality is and what she's actually going to do. But she's just trying to find her own way. And I do enjoy the Erika Jayne scenes, but I also understand where people are asking, what does she do for the show? So I need her to get a little bit more involved, but it's going to be hard to get involved because you have Kyle and Dorit going after each other. Kyle's going to shut down, Sutton's on an island, and then everybody else just kind of has to figure it out. So I hope that they get it in line. I hope that they can do something that's entertaining for us to watch, and it doesn't just get dull and boring and old very quickly, which I could see that as well. So I'm a little tentative. I'm not throwing the tail end by any means, but I am a little tentative just because I understand the dynamic of this group and where it tends to go. You get people to check out, but I don't know. I'm still obviously very hopeful. When we get to this, my brain is starting to slip in a direction that I don't really like. But I've got a tinfoil hat on part of my brain, and I don't really care for it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Are you going to share yet, or are you going to wait till we get to that?
I'll share when it's appropriate, and you'll be able to tell probably by my facial expressions.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we jump into this episode? And I got to start it out with Dorit's daughter, Phoenix, her ballet skills at 8 years old. That was impressive. Because it starts, she's like, dude, I believe that was a pirouette. I do not know.
That is the only word that I know for ballet, so I hope it is. So it's a spin, right? Yeah, that's a pirouette.
That's a pirouette, right? That's got to be what that is. My aunt was on the New York City Ballet, and she is the choreographer for them now. I'll text her. That's actually true. She was in Black Swan, everybody. Which, you know what? Fuck it. Little side note here. This is funny as shit. So again, watching Black Swan while I was playing baseball, I was bored. Throw Black Swan on. And Natalie Portman in the scene where she's working with the teacher on how to flap her wings correctly. I was watching. I'm like, oh my God, that's Chrissy. So Chrissy, my aunt Christine Redpath, she danced in New York City Ballet her entire career. She dated Baryshnikov. That's also true. And so Chrissy was in this movie. So I texted Bruce, my stepdad. I was like, yo, Chrissy's in Black Swan. He's like, oh, yeah. And she has no idea what it is. Like, she lives in her own bubble in the Upper East Side, like, has no clue what it is. Didn't know that Natalie Portman was a famous actress. And was just like, oh, yeah, I did this like movie the other day. So, yeah. Anyway, shout out to Dorit's daughter. Great pirouette or whatever.
So you have an aunt that knows a lot about ballet, and all you have is pirouette.
Yeah, and her husband was a balladeer on the New York City Ballet, and I know pirouette. I watched her dance the Nutcracker. It was beautiful. But yeah, that's a pirouette. A curtsy.
Beautiful pirouettes.
You can do a curtsy. I don't fucking know. But let's get down to business. We got Bose with her boyfriend Keely down in Malibu, and I like learning a little bit more about Bose and her dating life. And it's a long distance relationship, San Diego, Beverly Hills. But look, they spice things up by talking every day, multiple times a day, which to me sounds like a relationship.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate the Bose, and I guess more importantly, Keely agreed to be on, because how many times do we see people bring on or start talking about significant others or people that they're dating, and then we just never see anything about it on the show. So I'm happy that we got to see Keely. I'm happy that we got to meet him. Now, I will say he looked very scared to be on camera. That man did not want to be on. He did not know what to say. Those conversations were painfully awkward in the beginning. And then they did start warming up. But I could not help but think, like, all right, this was a little rehearsed in the car on the way over. He didn't really know what to say. He tried to start off one way, went a different way, and just froze. And I loved it. I thought it was funny. I found it comical. But you can tell right away. And look, you know what? The camera's not for everybody. Hopefully he warms up and just likes it. But again, we have to learn more about Bose. She is a new housewife. She fits in very well. I like her dynamic with everybody. I like that she is Dorit's friend, which is very interesting. And I think that she has a lot of promise.
I do too. And I like that she is always seemingly flabbergasted at how these women treat each other. She's like, it just goes off no matter what. And then they start going for the jugular every time. It's like, yeah, welcome to Housewives. But that's a good perspective to have, because I think by sitting in the background, watching how it's played a little bit, when it is time for her to get activated and get involved, I think she's going to be really, really good at it. I think she's going to handle herself very well, because those are the ones you don't want to fuck with. People that are just like quietly sitting by the side and like, oof, this is crazy. Why are all these women going after each other? And then you get her involved. Those are the ones you don't want to mess with. So I'm curious how she's going to get involved in that regard. Like, who's going to piss her off? I have a feeling it's going to be Sutton at some point, and you might see those two square off.
Almost already is, yeah.
You know, I mean, we'll see. But as these two keep talking, they're just discussing the future. And I thought the move with the raspberry, she brings up marriage because, you know, I like Keely because this dude's no bullshit, right? He's a man. He's a man. He's mature, straight to the point. She's like, are you dating for marriage? He's like, that's the only reason that I date. Where are we in that situation? He's like, haha, here's a raspberry.
He at least acknowledged it and said, I knew that's where this was going to go. I saw 2 steps ahead. I could see the future, and I knew that you were going to ask that question. Here's a raspberry. There you go.
Yeah.
Like, all right. He at least acknowledged it and laughed.
Yeah. She's like, are you doing that to shut me up? He's like, here's another one. But we keep moving, and we get to Dorit and Erika. And I will say it's nice to see that Dorit has her parents there, a little bit more support, which she definitely needs right now. Whether you're on Team Dorit or not, she's going through a lot of shit. And I can't imagine trying to go through all of this with somebody like PK. Like, the more and more that we hear each week, and we've never been high on him. We liked when PK and Mo would like pal around a little bit. Here is the tinfoil hat moment. Why did you let it rip?
I think it's fake.
I had the same thought during this scene, which is funny you say that. I don't think it just
seemed played up. The whole
thing
played about up. Like, it's definitely played up, but when it gets played up with Dorit, I think the worst for some reason. I don't know why. And this is why I'm saying I don't like it. I don't like that that's where my brain is going, because I want to believe her. Just there's a big part of me that just thinks that it's fake. And then I obviously go down the rabbit hole of the whole insurance thing. And like, it's just a lot of these things just seem off. There's something really off, and it can't be accredited to just, well, Dorit's a little eccentric and she's typically off. Like, I get that part of it, But when she's talking more and more and more, I'm like, I don't know if this happened. And then is it really played up? And then is it just fake? And it's a storyline for Dorit to stay on the show. And then they're going to get back together next year. And it's just going to be like water under the bridge, or what are we going to have here? And it's just, something's telling me that something's off. And I don't know what
put your mind at ease. Let me try to put your mind at ease.
You can try. Yeah. I don't know
from what I saw, because when she pops off about he came in and how he handled the situation. First of all, I could definitely see that because we saw him in therapy last season when the therapist came to the house and he's eating pizza and drinking beer. He calls her PTSD obnoxious, which that's not fake. He wasn't faking that part, which is fucking insane. But could I see him coming in with that kind of temperament? 100%. Absolutely. Could I see him storming out and slamming a therapist's door, which, by the way, psycho, like that's somebody's place of work. I can't imagine like wham, walking out of a therapist's office. But here's where I can see it being real. We've seen Dorit do this time and time again with stories. Like we've seen it, right? We watch the scene, but then when you hear her tell what happened, it is very much played up. And she keeps talking and talking and talking, kind of winding and weaving this story together to make it seem like it was a bigger deal than it was. Now, I think that's what this was. I don't think that this is fake. I really don't. I think that it is played up because that's who Dorit is. And I think that she's not even playing it up for the show necessarily. I think that's who she is. I think when she tells stories and retells events, I think it gets gassed up. So I think in this moment, and you got somebody in Bose, and the line that she says is hysterical to me. She's like, I love to listen and Dorit loves to talk. This is a match made in heaven. It really is like her best friend. Like this could not be a better situation. So she's got somebody that's going to sit there and actually attentively listen to her. So I think that Dorit is seeing Bose's facial expressions and body language, and she's buying into all of this. And she's like, and it was 4 hours and he slammed the door. And like, she just starts to kind of weave this bigger story together. I don't know how explosive it was, but that's what I think.
The problem is, and you always know this, when somebody's lying, they tell way too many details. They go on for way too long. And it's a really hard thing to do when it comes to Dorit in particular, because she does that about the most innocuous shit. She will talk to the ends of the world about something that really just doesn't matter. But she's talking so much now, so it's really hard to separate the two, because if anybody else did this, I'd be like, oh, they're lying. Like, they're just making shit up at this point. Dorit could be doing that, but she tends to do that in the first place. So now it's really hard for me to actually wrap my head around it. It's just a feeling I have that something's really off with the whole thing. And look, it could just be as simple as maybe they're having money issues and they need to separate and they're going to figure something out and then they're going to get back together later. But this is also a really good storyline. So they're going to kind of do something like that. And maybe they do. I mean, we've seen them as a couple. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense to begin with. And the way that they treat each other, the way that he treats her in particular, especially in that therapist scene last year, obviously they're not a good fit and it doesn't really make sense for them to be married. But I could see PK coming up with this plan of, we've got money issues. We need to separate. We need to separate some assets. Maybe we'll figure something else out and then we can come back together. It's also going to give you a good storyline. This is all going to work out really well. And it gets overly produced. And it could just be, it was his idea and then he ran with it and then they started fighting about it and then they separated and Dorit's just treating it seriously. And that's why she's freaking out. I don't know. It's just a feeling I have that something's off here and I don't fully trust it. And I wish that I would, because I do feel bad if she is actually going through it. And it is actually real. I feel bad that I don't trust it, but I don't trust it. You can't just change me.
I'm not trying to change you. I said, let me try to put your mind at ease, settle down. But let's get back to, we jumped a little bit to the Bose scene just to kind of tie a bow on that one. But in this scene, she's talking to Erika and they're going over, again, her situation. It's the first time, this is pre-therapy session. And it's first time going to therapy with PK. But they get into the Sutton stuff and the Camille stuff and all of that. And again, the sentiment is I was too forgiving for too long. I would just kind of bend the knee. It's that era is over with me. And people are mistaking my kindness for weakness. And that gets into the Sutton stuff. And this is a point, and it's a good point. And look, Erika's had her issues with Sutton. She's always had those issues. We've seen them. I think they're friends, as friendly as they're going to get.
Cordial,
you know what I mean? Like, yeah, they're
cordiality.
cordial. They can laugh together, cordiality, all that stuff. They can giggle and have a good time. They're never going to be besties, and that's fine. I think both of them are okay with that. But a good point was made that this is not the first time we've seen Sutton kick somebody when they're down. And the first time we saw, I mean, when Erika was going through her shit, obviously the whole group kind of teed off on her. So that's not only Sutton, but you did see it with Kyle when she was going through it. And then now you see it with Dorit. My only defense, if you want to call it that, my only defense, I guess, I think that part of it, and I think that this is an underlying thing with Sutton in general. I think that she's afraid to be left out of things. And I
Yeah.
think that when people in the group are going through things, she feels some type of way that no one confides in her about it. She's not the go-to when it comes to somebody talking about their problems and working through them. And I think that that bothers her. So I think that she takes issue with it instead of having a constructive conversation with the person going through it. I think she tries to be like, I'm there for you. And when they don't reciprocate or come to her and be like, hey, I need you, and she sees them doing with somebody else, she feels some type of way. She gets irritated and she goes after them and says something stupid. And I think that it all stems from her wanting to be part of the group or friends with somebody and feeling left out.
Yeah, I think that's 100% true. That's how I view Sutton as well. And I think that the friendship or lack thereof, if you want to call it that, for Erika and Sutton is excited that Erika could be a friend. She wants Erika to be a friend. She's just like licking her chops at the prospects of it. And every scene that we see where they're kind of getting along together and they're sharing a little bit and there's a little bit of respect there. You go to the confessional and Erika's like, who the fuck could have seen this? Like me actually respecting Sutton. Then you go to Sutton, she's like, Erika and I are friends. We're best friends.
Exactly.
We're the same person. And it's like, that is their dynamic. Now, I viewed this scene a little different though, because of where Erika is and because she's a little cautious when it comes to a friendship with Sutton. And obviously we know how she feels about Sutton. Erika's still pissed off and she's still salty about how she was treated with going through the fucking earring thing. She is still pissed off about that. Like, I know that like we don't talk about it that much anymore. But she talked about it, was at the beginning of this season, the very first episode, she started talking about how, oh yeah, everybody's going over and having a fucking pizza party with Kyle.
Why didn't I have a pizza party?
I didn't have it. Like, she's still pissed off about that.
But the therapist pointed out, do you think you deserve a pizza party? And she was like, no, you're right.
She definitely agreed. There's progress there. And I do like that we at least see a little bit of progress and she's at least a little more self-aware. But when it comes to Sutton, you just pointed it out. Everybody gave her a hard time about the fucking earrings. Everybody gave her a hard time about her behavior that season. Why is it just Sutton that's being singled out? This is just an opportunity for Erika to talk a little bit of shit because she's still salty. That's all I saw it as. And she now has somebody else talking about it. She's not going to do it with Kyle. Kyle did it last year. She kind of did like a couple of snide remarks, but this is a very good opportunity for Erika to bring it back to her and what happened with her. She wants to talk more about how people treated her, and she's going to start with Sutton. So that's how I viewed that scene for her.
I agree with that, actually. And I think that part of that is because Sutton will continue to put herself in stupid positions, whereas Erika's made friends again with the majority of the group. She's cool with Kyle. She's cool with Dorit. She's cool with Garcelle. Like she's cool with pretty much everybody, but she still has some, it's always going to be a contentious relationship with Sutton.
Yeah.
So I think that that's probably where that comes in. But let's keep trucking to a very touching scene. And fine, I got choked up a little bit. Whatever. Leave me alone, everybody. I'm sick of Bravo making me cry. It's pissing me off. But as we get into this scene, Garcelle's going to a beach house with her kids. I mean, it's pretty amazing considering the journey that she's had. So to get to this point in her life, as we talked about last week, when they went to the beach house the first time, yeah, it's fucking awesome. And to share it with your kids has to be a great feeling. And Oliver goes with OJ, his son. And Garcelle gets into his backstory, and we've heard this before, just as far as the fact that he had an addiction problem and went through it. It was pretty rough for a long time, but hearing her open up about her perspective during that and what she had to go through. And again, we equate this to what Mary had to go through, and there's similar sentiments. Like, where did I go wrong? What did I do? How did he end up this way? Why is this my fault? Like, clearly I messed up somewhere, which is so gut-wrenching to hear every time that we hear it. But for her to open up about what I would imagine is probably one of the worst nights of her life, when she was at her house and there's a knock on her door and it's Oliver. And such a powerful image in this moment that I was so happy that she brought up is he was there in body, but his eyes, it wasn't him. His body language, like, it's not him. And that's the best way to describe somebody in active addiction. Like, they're not here. Like, yes, it's their face, it's their body. They look just, there's something different. There's just nothing behind the eyes. Something else is driving the ship. So to hear that explanation, I was like, oh, that's so powerful. And then to hear her say, like, I had to sit there and listen, like, let me in, and just pretend like I wasn't home. And I had to watch my son walk away. And I can't imagine as a parent, you know, obviously I put my whole family through this. So like seeing this kind of stuff, it always hits me really hard to see the other side of things. But what I took from this, which is such a positive thing between this and Mary, how Bravo has gone about showing these kinds of scenes is so fucking important and something they need to take a note of. I don't know if it's the production companies doing it, if Bravo pushed it, but to show Robert Jr., for example, at his worst in that moment where they're talking, and then to show him get up on his feet and go to rehab, and then we get updates now to show the hope and the positivity that can come from this stuff, and the support that you can get from your family is so fucking cool. And then you see this scene, we get that terrible story, and then you flash immediately over, and it's Oliver sitting there with his son and his mom in their beach house, and everybody's happy. And I think that something that was so tough to watch with OC was they left the door open to speculate sometimes when it came to Shannon. They never just kind of nailed it home and said she's doing better, she's trying her best to get through this. They always left it somewhat open, and that always irritated me. In these scenes, what they can do for people that have gone through it, for people that have family members going through it, to watch them have these moments where it's like, look what you can get when somebody figures it out. Look how positive this is. Oliver's a great dad. They look happy. Everything's worked out. It's so amazing. And those are the people that are stricken with this illness, with addiction, with alcoholism. It's people like that. They're not bad people. And Bravo's done a great job now with 2 shows showing that. And I think that that's what they need to do, because this is a recurring theme in all of these shows. And this was such a great fucking moment to show that story and then immediately show Oliver now with his son and his family. And I applaud them for that. This was a great scene. It really was a great scene.
Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and applaud Bravo for doing it. I'm going to applaud Garcelle and Mary for doing it.
Yes. Yes,
Bravo could have fallen fucking ass backwards into this for all we know, because of the way that they've handled shit in the past. I'm not going to stand up and start like banging my drum and say Bravo did a great job. It's Garcelle, it's Mary that actually sat there, decided to share it. And this was heart-wrenching. This is something that I didn't expect going into this. I thought it was just going to be another scene like, oh, look, the beach house is ready. And you know what? First off, it's an actual beach house. So I've got nothing to say about the interior. It's a beach house. All right. This is a real house. It's not your primary residence, Ashley. Taylor. It's a fucking beach house. So there's beach things. And it still looks better than the other people's houses. So let's get that part out of the way. The rest of it was, I thought it was going to be a ho-hum family all together. All right, you know, let's get all together, blah, blah, blah. And then bam, just hit us over the head with this one. This one came out of nowhere on me. It was, I mean, like I said, I'm just going to applaud Garcelle for sharing it, because that can't be fucking easy to share. How many people do you think she told that story to before she actually shared it with the Bravo audience? Like, not many. Probably not really. Most of the women in the group know. Like, that is crazy to me that she's just got enough bravery, or whatever you want to say, just enough moxie to just sit there and be like, yeah, this is what happened. I'm going to share the most intimate details of my relationship with my son, who's going through a lot. And this is where he is now. And now I've got a grandson, and this is incredible. And he's saved his life. He's changed his life. I hope that this continues, because obviously it's a long struggle. It's a long journey, but he's on the right path, and we will have to see that. And this is now what, like 4 years of us knowing Oliver at this point. Like, we just keep seeing him here and there, here and there, here and there. And now we know the whole story. And it's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, it's
powerful. This is crazy. No, so good on her for sharing. Good on her for sharing.
Yeah, it was a great scene. It was touching. But let's keep going so I can stop getting choked up. It's fucking you know,
allergies. Goddamn allergies.
There's you're cutting onions back here. But we get to Dorit and Bose, and we touched on the scene a little bit already. I mean, we talked about it for the most part, but again, I think that this is going to be a long-standing friendship between these two. This makes sense to me because she finally found somebody to listen to her. And I think that has been one of the biggest issues for Dorit, and why she takes the approach that she has the past few years, is because everyone just rolls their eyes at her when she starts talking.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that she's been a great castmate for the past few years. We said last year multiple times, get her out of here. She's not doing anything. This is boring. We're over it. We're done with Dorit. But then you think about her reception in the group every time she tries to talk anyway. They're like, oh, here we go again. Eye roll, eye roll. And I think that maybe that's why this season you're getting a little bit different, because she found somebody to talk to that wants to actually fucking listen to her.
I think that, yeah, I mean, we could get that for the rest of the season. That's for sure. I think that the other part of this is we've seen so many scenes where it's just Dorit talking and she just keeps going by herself and nobody is chiming in. So at least now we've got like a hype woman. We've got Bose over there just like, oh, fuck, are you kidding me? Tell me more. It's like, all right, well, at least there's a second voice here, because after a certain point, like the third or fourth minute, Bravo is either going to do that edit where they go in and out and just kind of chop it all together, or we're going to have to sit there and listen to it for another 5 minutes. So at least now we've got a second voice to jump in just to let us know, hey, there's something going on here, guys. Because I tend to zone out when she starts talking. So look, I like it. I hope it lasts. I don't get the vibe from Bose that she's going to turncoat. I don't really see that, and I don't
think so.
see
She seems to stand in her laurels pretty hard.
Yeah, and I think more importantly right now, what Dorit needs, tinfoil hat is away. What Dorit needs is friends. She needs somebody that she can talk to, because the people that she would have talked to, Kyle, aren't listening. They're fucking sending memes. So she needs somebody that's actually going to sit there and listen to her, and she's going to be able to get everything off of her chest. And I think that's probably what we're getting. And now we're getting a more sharp focus to read, because whether it's the anger or the hurt or whatever the hell's going on, it's working. And now she's got an outlet to talk to too. So maybe she can like formulate her thoughts. Yeah, I know. But
here's what I'll say.
There's always an agenda with Erika.
Yeah, but at the same time, when Erika's talking to people one-on-one specifically, and Dev pointed this out, she's always inquisitive. Like, that's a good trait to have. She always asks, how's the family? How's Phoenix? How's this? How's that? Yeah. That's important. That shows that she's actually paying attention. And maybe that's the new Erika Jane. Maybe that's part of this transformation that she's going through. I'm not entirely sure. But between maybe the fact is that like Dorit feels like she's actually standing on her own 2 feet this season because of the separation from Kyle. Like maybe that was the caveat that we needed, was to get Kyle out of the picture. So this thing blowing up is what we needed to push her to this next level. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that I speak for a lot of people that we're enjoying this Dorit, whether it's played up or not. I mean, obviously these shows are going to be
better than what we've gotten in the last 5 seasons. So I'll take it.
Exactly. But let's keep going, because we talked about most of that stuff. The only thing is, again, Bose definitely feels some type of way about Sutton at this point, because she really took to heart when Sutton said, you're not mad at me, you're mad at your life. And again, we'll wait. I'll try to wait.
Well, we're getting stuck on fucking words again, which I hate.
What's the word today?
Weaponize. When people get offended by words.
I didn't get stay weaponized.
Not you. No, I'm saying they did.
Oh, yeah, they did in a big way.
Yeah, it's like Sutton's like 4 years behind on that trend. The trend was back in 2020, you would get upset about words.
Yeah.
Now the Sutton's like, that. Weaponize really hurts me. It's like, shut up, Sutton.
Don't do that again. That was a tough run right there. But
it's like VPR started that, I think, with the fucking top stuff.
No, I don't want to go back there. I don't have the energy this evening. Let's not open that door.
But we get to trauma.
There we go. But the funniest part about the VPR idiots saying that, like, using my trauma, it's like, you're all manipulating each other constantly.
You're all too dumb to have trauma.
Yeah, you all like literally manipulate each other's trauma 24/7. That's why VPR was what it was. Is because
it was weaponizing trauma was VPR, and it's like,
come on, guys.
And then it crossed over to like Summer House and all those. It's like, shut up.
Yeah, let's just move on. God damn it! But we get to Erika and Martin Lawrence. I didn't write down his last names because I thought Martin Lawrence
is great. Yeah,
he is a movie character. This dude he needs to be in this show. He needs to be a friend of. He was just so cinematic the way he was walking through her house, his verbiage, like the words that he was using. Like,
I don't take this lightly, but I would actually watch, and I don't like watching those shows. Like
if he had a show,
we
like
tried
an
to do
design
like
show.
We tried to do like the Sold on Salt Lake thing. It's like, it was boring as shit to me. I don't care about the real estate things. They're all just like kind of out there for me. I don't really care. I would watch a show with this guy in a heartbeat, because he was ruthless in this scene. He did not care. He took no prisoners, and Erika was hanging on every one of his words. It was incredible.
So was I. He was
me
just
too. Yeah,
captivating. He could definitely have a show. I would watch that
I would
in a
watch that,
heartbeat. Or just
and we
keep
would
bringing
not
him
cover
back.
it. We would keep that to ourselves.
Yeah, that's our thing, guys.
We need to have our own pleasures, guys.
Yeah, we need different word. We could use a different word. Our own. I don't even want to try to figure that one out. I
It's
just
a
want to
mutual pleasure. What do you want? If you and I are just
Stop.
watching, we just get to just talk about it. Just get some pleasure from it together. Anyway,
I'm
go
gonna
on.
let you just keep get it out of your system so we can move on. We have a live audience right now.
I don't think I can get it out of my system. I think it's just there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, we get to a little FaceTime between Dorit and Erika Jane. Before that, though, we get another little snippet, and these snippets from Garcelle, I want more. I want
Yep.
more stories. I want her to get into this stuff more because she's talking about the Viper Room, which I guess was owned at some point, or is it still owned by Johnny Depp? Or
I
was
don't
it
know.
owned
He was
previously by
probably
Johnny Depp?
he was probably a part owner, maybe. I don't know.
I have no idea. I don't know. But she made out with him. So we got Johnny Depp, Sean Penn. There, who else? Leo?
I don't know if Leo was mentioned. I don't think so.
I can't remember, but I want to hear about her, like what she did back in the day, like her modeling
Yeah.
career, like the cool parties that she went to, like the she knows like legit celebrities, and I
Yeah.
want to hear about that stuff because it's really fucking interesting. But we only get like little snippets here and there. Kelly Higgins in the chat. That's a great point. I need to see Garcelle's list. I think we all do. I think they should do an episode where she has a list and she talks about it. That would be
that'd be
fucking
incredible.
awesome because she's got it. Like she's been there. That's fucking cool. I want to hear this shit. But
Maybe this group needs a like an Ashley Darby to sit down and be like, "Hey guys, let's play a game." Garcelle, just tell us everybody that you hooked up with.
what's your list? We're gonna play the list with Garcelle. But we get to that Dorit and Erika Jane FaceTime, and this was confusing. I don't know why they wouldn't show the scene of Erika asking Dorit before, because the way it makes it look is Dorit asks her, "Are PK and Kyle speaking?" I thought that came out of nowhere, and that made me think that it was. Now I'm like, okay, this is fake, because they didn't show the previous scene until after that, where they're at lunch or something,
confusing.
and Erika's like, "Do you think they're still talking?" And then now Dorit's asking that back. So this is a previous conversation they'd already had.
The rest of the group had already heard it too. Like Sutton,
but Erika
heard
says
it.
she didn't. Did she? Was she there?
I don't
when
think
they had this
Erika was there.
conversation?
No,
Okay.
no. Garcelle
I thought she
told
was lying.
Sutton, and Sutton had a very like ho hum response to it. That was kind of weird too. And I imagine that other people in the group had heard it. Yeah, no, I don't know.
In this episode, she's like, if that happened to me, I would call my friend and be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I was like, "But you said the other day, like you kind of brushed it off."
I agree. Yeah, no, it was very weird. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, remember when they were getting the little tattoo? They were doing the little tattoo thing. Garcelle asked her, and she was like, "Yeah, they're friends." But now that tonight at the Viper Room, she's like, "If that happened, if my friend did that, I'd be livid." It's like, well, what? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Inconsistencies with Sutton could be another show. That would really fuck my brain up.
But they're discussing this whole thing, and Dorit says, I wouldn't put it past PK. And she implies it would be to get more details about her life.
Yeah.
I have to firmly disagree with that. I truly don't think PK gives a shit. I think PK cares about himself. I think that any man that has children, small children, and refuses to talk to their mother for weeks at a time because you need separation because you're too codependent or whatever the fuck that whole thing was about. If you're not communicating about your children and then you're going off to London because you get in a fight and you're like, I'm going overseas for 3 weeks. You're leaving your children for a month. I truly think that this guy only gives a fuck about himself. I think he's only concerned about himself. I think he made that very clear when he has his first sit down with Dorit at their dinner, and he's like, look at single PK, look at my outfit. It's like, you guys are separated. She's pretty upset, and you're talking about your fit, which looks like shit, by the way. Also, you're wearing a black t-shirt and black jeans. What are you, Steve Jobs? Like, fuck off.